Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm discussing one of the great horror films that has entered in the 4K format in the Criterion collection. This is Eyes Without a Face, a true timeless masterpiece of horror, and it might remind you in some places of something like Frankenstein or a few other big name classics, but make no mistake about it, this is something you absolutely should have in your collection. And if there was ever a person who said, I love horror, but I don't love subtitles, this might just be the film to show them. It's not that long. I think it hangs right around an hour and a half, and it is absolutely brilliant. How do you talk about this film without spoiling too much? Well, the father in this story has a daughter, and some things have happened, and he feels like he needs to help his daughter. But we question to what extent he's helping his daughter and to what extent he's helping himself. And in the process of this help that he's providing, allegedly, he's ruining lives, and he's doing a number of incredibly unethical, horrific things. In the opening scenes, we're given almost like a point of view in the back of a moving vehicle with this creepy, crazy, carnival-sounding kind of music. It almost sounds like it could have been, from Carnival of Souls, where the dancers are moving around in circles indefinitely. Real eerie. And a body's dumped, and there are like trees in the back while we're looking, in the back of this car, and it's overwhelming, and it creates almost a sense of hysteria for the audience, and it's bleak. Everything about the film is bleak, and the images in this film. Sometimes I listen to Martin Scorsese, talk about these images that just burn in his brain, and even the trees. Nothing in this film feels good. Nothing in this film feels right. And even the detectives and so forth who are trying to solve a series of missing occurrences and so forth, like even their sort of almost scientific process isn't, a whole lot better than the process that the doctor is using in this film. And so even the scientific method or the process of using logic seems to be evil, as does everything else, or at the very least flawed in this film. This is a scary, disturbing, psychologically horrifying film, and I absolutely love it. For that, I don't think there's a whole lot of positivity going around about humanity in this. There's so much deception all over the place, and there's a lot of self-deception. Now, I wanted to read you a little bit from page 9 of the booklet here to kind of put a little bit more of this into perspective, because it says this is a story about the potential for evil of science in general. As I said, there's some ties to Frankenstein a little bit, and of medicine in particular. And not coincidentally, is also about patriarchy. It is about the father's tyranny over his women. The real horror in Eyes Without a Face is that a certain character is not motivated by love at all, and I'm not naming the character, but by his intolerable guilt at having done something. You can read the rest of the booklet there. But when I'm watching this film the first time, I'm feeling a lot more sorry for one character than I did in the end. Watching it again and looking through clips of this is a really selfish set of characters. But there is one named Louise who is sort of an accomplice to some of the evil in the film, and I found her to be a really underrated, undervalued sidekick, someone that I feel like is one of those like all-time great supporting horror victims. But the middle of this movie, there is an experiment done on one of the captured people, and that is a level of terror that I would put up there with just about anything else in the black and white horror genre. And if I had to be like, okay, I want to get my friend who doesn't normally watch foreign horror movies to get into this, that middle part might just be enough, because I still am unsettled thinking about it. I don't know how many more times I could even watch the film because of that middle piece and that operation and so forth. The main character, much like the animals, the daughter, much like the animals that are trapped and used in different unethical ways, she's a victim of a greater, less good world. And the ending hits with such a punch, because it sort of comes full circle with some of the ideas like caged, trapped animals, or birds in a cage, or this pressure we put on ourselves that eventually has to be released, that no monster can ever be contained. What is the meaning of beauty? What is the meaning of love? What is the meaning of obsession? Lots of good questions asked in this beautiful, terrifying film, Eyes Without a Face. And I just cannot recommend it enough. Like I said, it's 90 minutes, French, black and white, but it absolutely must be in your collection. Those are just some of the first thoughts I had. I think I'm going to probably revisit this film and add it to some other videos, some other ideas I have. But if you found any of the comments today or anything in the video useful and you could give me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it, and tell me your thoughts on the film or anything else from this director. And subscribe if you haven't to Cody in the Cinema.